practitioner. I now request Dr. Samrat Samasdar to speak on the importance of treatment adherence in menopausal women with menopausal symptoms and the menopausal hormone therapy. Dr. Samrat Samasdar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about the importance of medication adherence of the menopausal hormonal therapy. So, first of all, what is adherence? That means the extent to which a person's behavior of taking medication, following a diet, and or executing different lifestyle changes that corresponds with agreed recommendations from a healthcare provider. So here one of the most important thing is that agreed recommendation. Who is agreed? The patient is agreed. So if there should be informed uh, decision, informed prescribing, patient should be convinced. Otherwise, that is not the adherence. So I am just want to focus on the adherence part with some real world cases. That is a healthy 50-year-old menopausal woman, non-obese, 10-month history of menopausal symptoms. There is worsening of hot flashes, soaking night sweats, and sleep disturbance with fatigue, and generally that affect her work. She had her mother had a breast cancer history at 78 years of age, and this particular patient has heard that hormone therapy may be harmful, but worries about the functioning at the ward. So she needs to be attentive during her work, and with that she had again a fear of breast cancer. So how would you advise this patient? So this is number one case, and number two case is very straightforward. That is 43-year lady recently had hysterectomy with bilateral salpingo-oophorectomy. She has heard about hormone therapy in menopause, and then she wants to start hormone therapy and visit you. So this, these two are very common cases we generally encountered in our day-to-day practice. So what is important? There is a difference between these two cases. One is obviously there is a surgical menopause, and other is that is a natural menopause that requires some hormone therapy. So regarding the adherence, what is important first is to initiation of the therapy. So here there is a very important study which suggests that probability of starting hormone replacement is approximately 5 times greater among the surgically menopausal women than among those who undergo the natural transition. So our second case is much more easier compared to the first case to initiate hormone replacement. So what are the most important concerns while we start hormone therapy in the menopausal woman? Number one, the fear of cancer, and that is the most frequent reason for refusal of hormone replacement therapy. And number two is the vaginal bleeding, which is the most frequent reason for discontinuation. So surgically menopausal women typically continue with this hormone replacement therapy for longer because there is no risk of endometrial cancer or withdrawal bleeding. Because if there is already the uterus is not there, there is no fear of endometrial cancer, and we can use the estrogen only therapy. And if we can use estrogen only therapy, there is much lesser risk or no risk of breast cancer. So few another studies done in North American population, in those they found that 34% of women between 45 and 60 years, they were currently using hormone replacement therapy. 8% had used hormone replacement therapy in the past, but were no longer using it. And this is important that 58% have never used it. Among them, 14% reported that they had refused the medication or had decided not to take the medication, although it was prescribed by their physicians. So this is why the adherence and compliance is a very important issue while deciding on this specific therapy. So another retrospective study done by Ravinkar et al., which suggests that among more than 300 naturally postmenopausal women, the overall compliance was only 30%. And another study done in the Massachusetts followed up of 2,500 women, and here the age group is 45 to 55-year-old. So within 9 months after the prescription, 20% of the women had stopped using hormone replacement therapy. 10% of the women used it intermittently, and 30% had never filled their prescriptions. This is generally a record-based study from the pharmacies. So compliance is poor. And while we are talking about compliance, it is important, there is a certain difference between adherence and compliance. In compliance, there is no way to involve your patient. When you are involving your patient, that is an informed shared or a shared decision making. That time it is adherence. But when you are not including or accepting your patient's decision in treatment, then that is only compliance. And always compliance is much inferior than adherence. So it is our responsibility to improve adherence. So there is definite evidence that while we are getting hormone replacement therapy or menopausal hormonal therapy, there is a symptomatic benefit, there is a cardiovascular benefit, there is an anti-osteoporotic benefit of the hormone. So why do women choose not to take or stop taking hormone replacement therapy? So this was a question-based study, and the reasons most commonly cited by the women who choose not to take hormone replacement therapy. Number one, and maximum of the response are like that hormones were not needed. Some of the women told that menopause is a natural event, so why will I will take hormone for that? Definitely there is a concerns regarding that side effects. There are some physicians' advice, that means the primary care physicians whom they believe they are having some opposing opinion regarding the hormone therapy, and other reasons like fear of cancer, and some of them who not wants menstrual periods or bleeding. That is another concern. This is generally common when we add progestin with estrogen. So how to improve adherence? Obviously, one of the key important thing is that good physician-patient interaction. Long-term continuance rate is highest among patients who leave the physician's office understanding exactly why they are taking what they are taking. That means if they are convinced with physician's advice, that will improve adherence. And other strategies to improve communications, because communication is one of the important weapon to fight against non-adherence. Number one, ensuring the uninterrupted discussions with the patient and creating an accessible office atmosphere. Repetition is often required, and repetition of key message is sometimes very important in this type of things. An equation approach to evaluating the benefits and risk involves the patients in the decision process and clarifies the reasons that she may or may not choose to begin hormone replacement therapy. So again, the importance of shared decision making. So we need to educate our patients regarding the benefit and risk of hormone therapy. So this was a study done in Croatia, that adherence with hormone replacement therapy in menopause. So in case of low interest in menopause, that means there is 3 group of doctors who have low interest in menopause, medium interest in menopause, and high interest in menopause. And it was seen in the group where the doctors have higher interest in menopause and devotes more time in menopausal therapy, there is less dropping out from hormone replacement therapy. So doctor's interest is very important, and average duration of therapy is also correlated with high level of interest among the physicians, treatment providing gynecologist. Generally, it is important to note that in Croatia, the time when this study was done, the primary care physicians cannot prescribe hormone replacement therapy. The gynecologists have that credential to prescribe hormone replacement therapy. So here we can see again different groups of gynecologists, like primary care gynecologists who are giving more times like 14.2, the clinical hospital gynecologists who are giving 15.5 minutes, like that. So the maximum time was spent by the private gynecologist, 26.5. And now we can see the adherence, or we can see there are some other important issue like sexuality, because we from a doctor's side have often have a resistance to start the discussion regarding the sexuality of that particular patient. And this also seen across the area, except there are some primary care gynecologists private who have a more intense discussion on sexuality along with the primary care gynecologist public, whereas the gynecologist in clinical hospital, that means high level of hospitals and general hospital, they are not that much talking. Primary care GPs, there are this particular study is interesting to show that there is an increased tendency, like 82% of them talked about sexuality. And what is important regarding in this particular study, even among the doctors who are gynecologists and GPs, they in case of gynecologist, or we can say the male gynecologist, when they are asked, would you recommend to the partner the hormone replacement therapy, they told 100% of them told yes. But when a female gynecologist, there we can see 100% is not recommending for hormone replacement therapy. There the percentage is like that 93%. Similar things when the GPs, when they were asked about would they recommend their partner, there is 80% told that yes, they will recommend. But in case of the female GPs, the percentage is quite low. So there is some confusion regarding that hormone therapy in all level. We need to improve our awareness regarding that. So I am coming again as we talked about the cases. So if there is that two cases, if there is menopausal symptoms, and that menopausal symptoms, if only genitourinary symptoms, then we can use some moisturizers or lubricants and local therapies, local estradiol tablets or some conjugate estrogen cream. But if there is some symptoms like hot flashes, night sweats, just what happened in our first case, then we have to see when there is age is less than 60 years or within 10 years of menopause with some symptoms. Obviously, our patient has some symptoms. Otherwise, no contraindications, moderate to severe hot flashes, no response to behavioral interventions, and in case of primary ovarian insufficiency, then they are the candidate for hormone therapy. Whereas all the other cases with high risk of breast cancer, heart disease, thromboembolism, or other estrogen sensitive cancer or precancerous patients, other history like stroke, myocardial infarction, or pulmonary embolism, age is more than 60 years or more than 10 years of menopause, they are the candidate for non-hormonal therapy. And this already discussed who are the candidate for hormone therapy and what we should choose. Just like in case of transdermal therapy, these are the options. And whether like in patients of obesity, diabetes, hypertriglyceridemia, it is better to consider transdermal therapy. If uterus is present, then it is important to consider both estrogen and progestin. And when it is absent, hysterectomy, then consider estrogen alone. For non-hormonal therapy, there are other pharmacological therapies like that. So in our first case, if the patient has a mammogram done, already this patient, as there is a positive family history and the mammogram was okay. So this patient was initiated with estrogen only therapy, and they were followed up for transvaginal sonography also, and patient was continuing estrogen based hormone therapy. And our second case, who was also who don't have uterus, they also initiated with hormone therapy. But important is that we have to make them understand the risk and benefit of hormone replacement therapy. So when the woman ages between 50 to 59 and or less than 10 years of menopause, then the risk is with both estrogen and estrogen progesterone, the gallbladder related risk is high. There is a venothrombotic episodes, though with only estrogen, that risk is quite low compared to the estrogen plus progesterone. Stroke, there is some increased risk in that hormone therapy. Regarding breast cancer, if we combine estrogen and progesterone, there is obvious higher risk in that group. But if we use only estrogen, that may be beneficial in preventing breast cancers. And all the other areas, what we can see from this picture, like fractures, diabetes, colorectal cancer, even overall mortality, coronary heart disease, in all aspects, there is a benefit in favor of postmenopausal hormone therapy. So we need to address this. We need to tell this to our patient, and shared decision making is very important for them. We have to simplify the regimen. We have to inform. We have to do the justice for informed prescribing. Modify the patient's belief and behavior by proper education, by improving health literacy. The trust is important. Communication is important. We need to provide more and more time, because time is important factor which improve adherence.
And obviously, we should leave the bias. We should not be biased to anything. We need to do justice with the evidences what we have, and repeatedly we need to evaluate the adherence when we see the patient. And there are some study which also suggest that if we have closer follow-up, that helps improving adherence. So closer follow-up sometimes is required. So thank you all. So today is, we all know about those, we need to be colorful. So it is important to give the adequate color to the postmenopausal woman also. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir. Hello.